rents another building under suspicious circumstances. NIS inspector robbed at gunpoint and a woman killed for dancing with another man. These and more right now in our Friday, July 20 edition of MTV's News Update. I'm Ashley Scotland. Good evening to our viewers in Guyana and online. We begin tonight's broadcast by telling you that the government is once again embroiled in controversy, this time over the rental of a building which was the campaign headquarters of the APNU AFC during the 2015 general elections. The building is now housing the Guyana Gold Board. Details from Sandy Ramatar.
Minister of Natural Resources, Raphael Trotman, today visited the location where the Guyana Gold Board has been relocated following mercury pollution concerns at its original headquarters. However, concerns are being raised over the decision to rent the building, which is owned by a man who's well known to Trotman and State Minister Joseph Harmon. As a matter of fact, the same building was used as the campaign headquarters for the APNU AFC during the 2015 general and regional elections. As to comment on the rental of the building, Trotman pleaded ignorance.
Well, I'm not aware. I was not involved in the process for the leasing of it during campaign time. At the end of the day, it is a commercial building. I've known buildings that were rented by various parties through various election cycles, which continue to be rented either by government or otherwise. So that is not a criticism. As I said, I had nothing to do with it. This is my first visit to the building, in fact. I don't know the owner personally, have not met with him, and have had nothing to do with the lease.
However, Trotman and Harmon were co-managers of the APNU AFC and were said to be the persons who engaged the proprietor during that period. Shortly after the elections, Bishop Brown met with President Granger while that building was previously earmarked as the headquarters of Smart City Solutions, the controversial parking meter company. The building was constructed following a public plea for donations by Brown for setting up a school. Chairman of the Gold Board, Gabriel Lal, in defending the decision, said the building was selected from among 9 other sites and was agreed to by the Board of Directors. Lal, however, refused to disclose the rental cost of the building. The new site, which started operations 3 days ago, remains cautious as its labs was not fully tested. Meanwhile, Raphael Trotman was optimistic that the use of mercury will be reduced with the use of alternative measures.
I can add as well that I recently stopped, restricted or refused the importation of 30,000 kilograms of mercury into Guyana. The government of Mexico contacted me about a shipment which they were being asked to approve, and I have refused to accept it because it is a lot of mercury, and I'm concerned about the use of mercury in our rivers. It's poisoning of the people of Guyana.
The building operational cost is touted at $18 million with an overhead cost of $9 million. Close to 100 employees of the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission and the Guyana Gold Board have been affected by the mercury emission. The emission stemmed from a technical mishap with the chimney at the smelting room at the Guyana Gold Board. Since that incident, the smelting of gold was halted and a private contractor was employed by the board to conduct the smelting. Sandy Ramatar for MTV's News Update.
The Ministry of Public Infrastructure has admitted that it has erred as it relates to the current deplorable state of the Lyndham-Lethem Road. Minister Annette Ferguson has also apologized to all who have been affected by the impassable road. Godfrey Brooms reports.
The National Assembly last evening heard the debate on the status of the Linden to Lethem Road, a motion that was brought to the House by Opposition Chief Whip Gail Teixeira. Teixeira took the cane to the government, bashing them about the road and the impact it has on the national economy. Teixeira claimed the government is treating the road as a stepchild.
The problem right now is your economy is in trouble. And it's an economy which is dependent on those same goods coming out on those same roads to come to the coast.
Teixeira, in her attack on the government, reminded the House that the government passed the 2018 and the 2017 national budgets early under the pretext that it wanted to start implementing budget measures from the start of the year. However, the road is still the same, with the government now blaming the state of it on the rains.
And you have failed to use that money in the early part, at least to protect the road.
Defending the government was Junior Minister of Public Infrastructure Annette Ferguson, who noted that the government has been doing periodic repairs to certain parts of the road.
Maintenance of Rockstone to Mabrua, maintenance of Krupukari to Anai, this is in region number 9, maintenance of Anai to Letem, region number 9, maintenance of Letem to Aichuni, region number 10. Maintenance of Aichuni to Kokwani, region number 10.
Meanwhile, the substantive minister, David Patterson, agreed with the opposition chief whip that the government could have done more, whilst pledging the government will do better.
You are correct. This government does acknowledge the state and the condition of the road. We do acknowledge that the state of the road is not optimum and it could have been in a better position.
Topping it off was Minister Ferguson, who apologized to the persons who are affected by the damaged stretch of the Linden to Lethem Road.
The ministry extends its sincere apologies to all the commuters and residents who have been affected.
Videos have shown the plight truckers are faced with trying to access Lethem, some being semi-submerged. Godfrey Brooms, MTV News Update.
State Minister Joseph Harmon says the government remains committed to engage the opposition on matters of immense importance outside of the confines of the National Assembly. Here again is Godfrey Brooms.
Minister of State Joseph Harmon has confirmed that, like the opposition leader, President Granger received a call from former U.S. President Jimmy Carter for a meeting with the two leaders. Harmon said following that call, the opposition leader Bara Jagdeo and President David Granger met and agreed to meet on 3 topics.
These 3 matters, of course, involve national security matters, involve matters concerning oil and gas, and the matter concerning the environment.
Harmon said the president has always been mindful of meeting with opposition leader Bara Jagdeo on matters of national interest. However, he accused the opposition of failing to agree to meetings with the government.
At meetings to which they were invited, they have chosen the ones on which they will come. And so it's basically been a sort of a picking and choosing by them.
Minister Harmon noted that the government remains committed to the development of Guyana and sees it necessary to have collaborations with the opposition and the private sector. Only yesterday, Jagdeo met with President Granger for consultation on 2 service commissions. Meanwhile, in defending Prime Minister Moses Nagamotu, Harmon said the opposition had time and again disrespected him. He claimed that the PM is doing an excellent job executing his tasks with efficiency. Godfrey Brooms, MTV News Update.
A national insurance scheme inspector was early this morning robbed at gunpoint by 2 bandits, one armed with a handgun on the Agricola Public Road. Police say just after midnight, Rudolph Primo of Section C Block Y Diamond East Bank Demerara was traveling in a Georgetown-bound minibus when 2 men sitting behind him requested to be put off at the Agricola Road head. As Primo exited the minibus to allow the men to get off, one of them choked him while the other brandished a firearm and demanded his belongings. The man was relieved of a blue cellular phone valued $20,000 and $50,000 cash before escaping on foot into Agricola. Police have questioned several persons in the death of a teenager at the Splashman's Fun Park last Saturday. This was confirmed by Command of Police of A Division Leslie James. Lashana Gomes Cornelius has more details.
Family members of 19-year-old Ronaldo Gomes are still searching for answers, despite a post-mortem concluded that he died as a result of drowning. Gomes's body was fished out of the creek while on an outing at the Splashman's Resort last Saturday. According to Commander of A Division Leslie James, police are actively investigating the circumstances surrounding the young man's death.
We've contacted a few persons and we've obtained statement, and the matter is still under investigation.
Relatives of the dead teen have been complaining that they have not heard anything from the management of the resort, while information from the police have not been forthcoming. Combs of Norton Street, Wortmanville, Georgetown, on July 16 in the company of his cousin while on a family retreat, went swimming in the Splashman's Creek. According to eyewitness reports, as his family was preparing to leave, Gomes returned to have a final dip. After he went missing, the police were called in and a search ensued, which led to the discovery of the lifeless and battered body of Gomes. Based on the police's observation, the body of Gomes was found bearing several marks of injury to the neck, arm, and face. Reports are that a number of speedboats were traversing the creek, and marks on the teen's body are consistent with that of an outboard engine propeller. It is believed that a young man may have ventured beyond the safety zone of the resort and came into contact with one of the boats. But relatives are not completely buying this story and are asking for a thorough investigation. Reporting for MTV News Update, LaShawna Gomes, Cornelius.
Following the resentment by indigenous leaders over the land to build the National Tushaus Council Secretariat, the government is now looking for a larger plot to allocate to the council. Chelsea Griffith reports.
At the opening of the National Tushaus Council, the then chairman Joel Fredericks chided the government, saying that it has failed the indigenous peoples of Guyana. Atop of the NTC's concerns was the failure of the government to allocate a lease for the land given to them for the construction of the NTC Secretariat. The land government had given to the NTC was in the Sophia Exhibition Center. In response to these criticisms, President David Granger as well as Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu had denied that government ever made or broke a promise to the council. Following the public bashing, President Granger met with the new leader of the NTC, Nicholas Fredericks. From that meeting, according to State Minister Joseph Harmon, President Granger promised to allocate a much larger plot of land to the council for the construction of a secretariat.
We're looking at allocating a larger tract of land so that the headquarters of the NTC can be well set up and well organized.
He noted that the government is considering some of the lands the state would have acquired from Gaisuko. Chelsea Griffith reporting for MTV's News Update.
Almost 1 year since his bizarre disappearance from his West Coast Demerara home, 70-year-old Kadir Jamal's relatives are still searching for answers as to what exactly happened. LaShawna Gomes, Cornelius reports.
35-year-old Bibi Fazila Jamal, daughter of the missing pensioner, said since her father's disappearance on August 1, 2017, she has not received any vital information surrounding the elder Jamal's disappearance. Jamal indicated that there had been several false alarms by the police when asked to identify decomposing bodies. While the family had been relieved that none of the bodies were that of the pensioner, they are still optimistic that he is still alive.
So, I didn't get no trace, nothing, and we go and look plenty like who dies and stuff like that, but it's not him. And I don't know, but I got feeling he's still out there somewhere, and whoever got he can bring him home or.
While remaining hopeful that her father is still alive, Jamal explained that of late she has been receiving strange phone calls from an unidentified person, whom she claims is always silent on the other end.
And I get a strange phone call on my phone, private, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Also, when I answering, nobody answering me. Then I said that I told him that I'm going to trace the numbers and see who calling because it's very strange. They're calling all certain hour every day, like 5, 6, 7 times. I get in private calling. Don't call a number, then calling on private, and I'm not answering. When I answering hello, and when I answering, I mean answer just listen in the background for see what going on. In the day, in the night, anytime. 2, 3, 4. 1 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock. So I said, it's really funny, this really strange.
Meanwhile, in attempting to get an update from the police regarding their investigation into the strange disappearance of Kadir Jamal, this newscast was told that the matter is still under investigation, but there had been no substantial leads. Reporting for MTV News Update, Lashona Gomes Cornelius.
Welcome back. You are watching MTV's News Update. Two Essequibo Coast men are set to make a court appearance on Monday after they were found in possession of a quantity of ammunition at Barama Road in the Essequibo River. Police say about 16 hours 50 on Wednesday, acting on information, ranks intercepted a motor pickup and conducted a search, during which a box containing 49 rounds of .38 live ammunition were found in the air filter compartment. The driver of the pickup, Sherwin Christian, 29, of Riverstone San Essequibo, claimed that he was transporting the ammunition for his passenger, who was identified as Hayland Handy, a mine of charity housing scheme also on the Essequibo coast. However, Handy, when questioned in the presence of the other accused, denied knowledge of the illegal ammunition. Both men were arrested and, based on legal advice obtained by the police, will make an appearance in the Georgia Magistrates Court on Monday. The AFC is still unsure if it will be going to the local government election polls alone or united with the APNU. Regardless of this decision, the PNC, the largest party in the APNU, has begun campaigning extensively.
As the time draws closer for the holding of local government election, a Partnership for National Unity and the Alliance for Change have not yet decided if they will be contesting together. The APNU is comprised of 6 different parties: the People's National Congress Reform, the largest party, Guyana Action Party, Justice for All Party, National Front Alliance, and the Working People's Alliance. Speaking with the General Secretary of the People's National Congress Reform, Amna Ali, she noted that no decision has been taken. Thus, there is no guarantee that the APNU will be contesting the election alone.
We are having talks with the AFC, but we have designated people from the APNU and the AFC who are conducting the talks. It is not yet concluded.
Ali noted that the PNC has started campaigning for the election, regardless of its biennial delegates congress that is slated for August the 17th to the 19th.
Well, we started getting ready quite a long time, and we are not working one at a time. We are working together. Not because we have Congress, we are not focusing on local government elections.
The Alliance for Change had earlier stated that it is unsure whether it will be teaming up with the APNU to go to the polls for the local government election. Leader of the AFC, Raphael Trotman, had stated that some members believe that the party needs to maintain its identity. Trotman had also called for a review of the Cummingsburg Accord that allowed the APNU and the AFC to contest the 2015 elections as one party. The AFC had also noted that the accord does not provide for the coalition of parties at the local government level. The APNU, in response, had stated that the coalition is better together. Local government election is slated for November 12, the second to be held in 3 years after an almost 20-year hiatus. Godfrey Brooms, MTV News Update.
Persons who are seeking to establish businesses are urged not to fall into the copycat syndrome, but rather establish businesses that are unique or new to the market. This was the advice of renowned business coach Vishnu Durga. Kipani Jordan reports.
There is a copycat syndrome where people see that someone is having a barbershop and they go and they do the same thing. Don't get into any business for which you can't add any value.
Vishnu Durga is a former head of the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and chief executive of Action Coach, the lone business coaching entity in Guyana. Durga told News Update that the GCCI has systems in place to provide persons interested in business with vital information that will guide them in the right direction.
The Chamber actually has a clear roadmap of how to actually from the time you start researching the business to every single other obligation that you have as a particular entrepreneur who wants to get into business. So that roadmap is published in all the magazines as well. It's also available online. Beside the Chamber, you have a lot of other business support organizations that also exist that I would strongly recommend that anybody who's either thinking about business or currently is in business, that you access that, because it doesn't make sense that you pursue business without having all the knowledge and support that is already available.
He said while the Chamber is not able to provide business financing to persons, there are several entities where the services are available. One such business is the Institute of Private Enterprise Development, IPED. He is urging Guyanese to think outside the box and focus on unique business ideas and not the usual run-of-the-mill operations.
What I would advise, though, we have oil and gas coming on stream in another 2 years. A lot of work is already being done now. A lot of Guyanese companies are involved. However, figure out what part of that industry you believe you can serve, and maybe you can't serve it directly. Figure out indirectly where can you get to fit into that chain, and also look at the standards that you need to meet. Standards and certification are going to become increasingly important.
Kipani Driven reporting for MTV's News Update.
Godfrey Brooms is reporting that opposition members left the National Assembly last evening disheartened after their motion on the re-establishment of a Labour ministry was voted down. The opposition members wanted the government to establish the ministry, which was disbanded after the change of government in 2015.
Opposition parliamentarian Julian Burton Prasad yesterday tabled a motion in the National Assembly seeking for the re-establishment of a Labour ministry. Currently, there is a Ministry of Social Protection with a Department for Labour. The opposition party moved the motion based on the call from the trade unions. Representing the opposition side of the House was Adrian Anamaya, who said that there is no reason for the government not to acknowledge and act on the motion. He stated that relegating the ministry to a mere department is a slap in the face to all Guyanese. He further listed what the opposition believes the ministry could have been dealing with.
Those who are receiving pensions from Gaisuku, they do not know, there is no guarantee that they will continue to receive those pensions in the near future because of the mismanagement of the whole Gaisuku and the whole affairs of these workers by this government.
However, defending the government was Chief Whip and Minister of Social Protection, Amna Ali, who dubbed the motion as political mischief.
It lacks integrity and cannot withstand the rigors of good governance. I therefore urge the honorable members on the other side to withdraw this motion and let good governance prevail. I thank you.
She noted that Labour now being a department does not affect its functions since it has a minister. According to Article 99(1) of the Constitution, the President may assign any minister responsibility